Hello and welcome to Fernbank Science Center's The Sky This Week for November 14th through 20th, 2021. Bright planets in the evening sky, and early Friday morning, we get an almost total lunar eclipse. Start with the beginning of the week, looking over toward the south part of the sky. If you're not sure which way is south, figure out for your observing spot, where did the sun set? Where did it appear to go down? Put your right shoulder in that direction. That's west, and you'll be facing the south part of the sky. The brightest objects strung out along the sky, not quite so exaggerated as they appear on this diagram. The planet Venus, closest to the southwest part of the sky, looks like a really bright star, but tiny like a star. Higher on the sky and towards the south, Saturn and then Jupiter both appear as very bright star-like objects. And this week, as the moon continues to wax through waxing gibbous phases to full phase, there's going to be a lot of moonlight sort of washing out the rest of the stars. On the 15th, notice where the moon is in relation to the planet Jupiter. It appears to have moved along its orbit a ways toward the east. By the 16th, it appears even fatter and is closer to the east. And by the 17th, it is almost completely full. Not quite, but almost. For a nearly total lunar eclipse, the moon doesn't completely get covered up by the Earth's darkest shadow, but almost this time around. It happens early on Friday morning, November 19th, and we're talking early on Friday morning. Starts just after 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's finished up just around 6. If you have a clear observing site, maybe binoculars, see if you can track this if the weather is clear. Earth casts a shadow out into space, thanks to timeanddate.com for these images. And in the shadow of the Earth out in space, it's kind of shaped like a target with a lighter outer band and then a darker bullseye. We're looking down, supposed to be on the North Pole, watching as the moon moves along its orbit and comes through the shadow of the Earth. So the penumbra, that lighter ring outside shadow, and the umbra, darker spot for the bullseye, as the moon moves along its orbit, it's going to move through that target-shaped shadow. So start around 2:18 or so, and the moon will be moving just into the edge of the Earth's penumbra, that lighter shadow bit. By an hour or so later, it's moved all the way through the penumbra and is heading into the umbra, the darker part of Earth's shadow. By 4 or so in the morning, the moon has moved into that dark part of Earth's shadow, might appear kind of dark reddish colored. It doesn't completely enter that dark shadow. A little edge of it is still sticking out. If you can find that, see if you can notice the difference between the light part of the moon and the part in shadow. By an hour later, the moon has moved through that darkest part of Earth's shadow and is now in the penumbra. And by 6:18 or so, 5:48, it's finished up. It's complete, as good as it's going to get, eclipse for this year. If you get a chance to watch it, again, facing south and toward the west, by 2 in the morning, the moon is up pretty high in the sky. And at this time of day, the constellation of Orion, the hunter, is pretty high up there toward the southeast. 3 stars for the belt, a couple of stars for shoulders, a couple of knees stars over here. The brightest star we can see from anywhere on the sky, the star Sirius. Looks like another really bright star. And again, it's not as big as the full moon. That's an exaggeration to show how bright Sirius is. Notice where the moon is with just the tip of it entering the shadow. It might look a little dark or a little red on that one side. An hour later, the moon has moved deeper into the penumbra and umbra part of the shadows. It's almost as good as it's going to get right around 4 o'clock in the morning. Notice that Orion and Sirius appear to have moved as well across the sky. Earth is rotating. It looks to us as though the planets and stars move from the east toward the west. Rise in the east, go across the south part of the sky, set in the west. By 5 in the morning, the moon is moving out of the lighter part of Earth's shadow, and by 6, it's out of the shadow completely and a nice full moon. Thank you for listening. Best of luck in finding that eclipse toward the end of the week, hoping for clear weather. Please keep an eye on Fernbank Science Center's webpage, www.fernbank.edu. Keep an eye on our Facebook page for Friday evening planetarium virtual programs and Saturday science. Have a great week.